So we're going to jump back into Stephen Bradshaw's testimony to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and he's shown a response from the Post Office solicitors to Mr. Ishak's solicitors responding to their request for more details on the errors that Mr. Ishak encountered in relation to the Horizon system, and they've answered the letter, but they view it as suspicious and say they're not going to disclose other material because it won't help their case. What does Stephen Bradshaw have to say about this? Let's jump into the inquiry.
Can we please look at poll 000598969? This was an addendum defence statement that was filed in Mr. Ishak's case. He there, if we scroll down, he responds to the letter requesting further particulars, and he has set out there problems. The Horizon online system would often crash and freeze, and would give inaccurate total figures at the end of trading and or balance periods. As a result of these problems, the defendant called the Horizon Help Desk, so this isn't the MBSE, this is the Horizon Help Desk in the region of 8 to 10 times a month on the telephone number, and gives a telephone number. Those calls were made over a period of about 12 months. He then...
So even on that, at this stage, that's enough to have a look into it, isn't it? It's crashing and freezing, and it's producing inaccurate figures, arguably because of those crashes and freezes. Great, we'll have a look at the event logs then. And as a result of those problems, he rang the Horizon Help Desk. Well, if Stephen Bradshaw wasn't aware of the Horizon Help Desk before, he certainly would be after this information is furnished by the defence. And ringing 8 to 10 times a month, a telephone number about issues with the system would indicate that there tends to be an issue, particularly if we've got lots of other people in a similar position, aka other sub-postmasters also doing the same thing. He's not ringing it up for fun 8 to 10 times a month over 12 months. It seems very similar to experiences, that we've had as well. You can keep on contacting an organisation for help. They can keep on rebutting it and say thanks for understanding, but actually it doesn't mean that there's not a problem. It might suggest that you're not responding to it in an adequate way.
Gives a series of references. We scroll down to the bottom of the second page. It says, when a balance and or trading report produced by the system showed there was a shortage of cash, the system would give the defendant an option to make good the discrepancies. If we scroll down, on occasions, the defendant did not accept that he had made an error and requested the issue be dealt with centrally by the post office. On such occasions, he received a letter from Chesterfield. Approximately twice, the defendant called Chesterfield to discuss the discrepancies and shortfalls, and in order to explain the problems he was encountering with the system. No references were provided by Chesterfield staff, but he was assured that the matter would be investigated. And then he gives some further details. Could we please turn to poll 001666405? This is an email from Martin Smith to yourself. He says, please find attached a letter which we have received from Messrs. Musa Patels today enclosing an addendum defence case statement. That's the document that we've just been looking at. I note that the addendum defence case statement sets out the reference numbers of numerous reports which the defendant apparently made. It is the last working day before the trial, and I'm somewhat suspicious that the information was not disclosed at an earlier stage.
But it is worth noting that, obviously, when these issues were first raised before they asked him to explain them, they could have searched their own records of the help desk, because it's got those FAD codes, branch codes, linked to it, so they could search for every time that he's contacted them, and indeed, that is exactly what Stephen Bradshaw asked the National Business Support Centre helpline to do.
Steve, could you please go through the addendum defence case statement and make such inquiries as you are able to today? Just pausing there, we saw the letter which asked for further information. The addendum defence case statement seems to have been submitted in response to that letter. Were you suspicious about the detail that was provided in that defence statement?
Sorry, can you just clarify that? I'm not quite sure.
Yes. We've seen an additional addendum defence statement giving more detail. Were you, as Mr. Smith seems to have been, suspicious about the production of that defence statement?
Well, in the addendum, these ones there where the Horizon reference numbers are,
yes,
the sort of thing. So that possibly indicates that the Horizon call logs were obtained from Fujitsu, hence why the You know, you've got the reference numbers and whatever.
No, the reference numbers have been provided by the sub-postmaster, presumably, because he made a note of them when he was encountering all of these issues. And as well, it might just be the day before, to be fair. I mean, the suspicion seems to be that his lawyers have answered the question that the post office posed to them about what was malfunctioning, so it doesn't seem all that suspicious. It wasn't just an unsolicited letter that suddenly appeared a day before the trial. It was in response to the letters that have been sent from the post office's legal team. So I'm not so sure why there's suspicion there, but nevertheless, even if there's only a day left, surely a quick call to the Horizon helpline to say, can I have the logs for these calls with these reference numbers? Surely that's quite a quick task.
Sorry, we'll get to the investigation into the information that he gave.
And you know, from that statement, you know, again, that it's an instruction, and I'm dealing with whatever he wishes me to sort of go on. And again, you know, that's the decision he's made about whether the unsexual challenge. I can't say what type of conversation went on with Mr. Smith regarding whether they should tell or shouldn't tell.
Did you have any suspicions about the information that was provided?
No.
No.
You know, I would look at the information that's received.
If we scroll down in this email, he says as follows. He says, I have no intention of providing details of previous cases in which there has been an unsuccessful challenge to Horizon. That information does not undermine the Crown's case or assist the defence.
Now, this might be an interesting one for the lawyers who watch the channel to answer. Is it for the prosecution's solicitors to determine whether something undermines the Crown case and assist the defence, or should they hand it over and let the defence make that decision for themselves?
And now, your evidence throughout today has been that you relied on Cartwright King to disclose that information.
That's right.
Here you're being told by Cartwright King that they're not going to be providing that information. Did you have any concerns about the approach that they were taking?
At the time, probably not. You know, as I say, I can't really answer because I don't know what type of conversation went on at that time with Cartwright King over that.
Well, do you recall any conversation in which that was challenged?
It's 10 plus years ago.
Do you really think that you did have a conversation with Cartwright King?
I had numerous conversations with Cartwright King over the years. So whether that was part of one of them, it's 10 years. I can't honestly say, yes, I spoke to them about Mr. Isaac or I spoke to him about this. Unfortunately, that's just a passing of time with that one.
So your evidence is you can't remember?
And in this particular, yeah, I can't remember whether any conversation took place regarding that. I'm not saying it didn't, but on the same token, I can't say it did.
Do you think it's likely that if you had received this and had an objection to their approach to disclosure, you might have written it down?
Something may well have been said, yeah, regarding it.
Do you think it was?
As I say, I can't categorically say it did or it didn't. You know, it's likely to have taken place. If you've got an unsuccessful challenge and say, no, I'm not going to deal with it, then the passing of the conversation would have been, well, why not? Or what? So they're making the choices as the lawyers.
Did you not see, as disclosure officer, the duty falling to you to make the...
As I say, I disclose everything, what I've got from the post office side of the investigation. Everything else after that for disclosure is done by Cartwright King to the defence.